Hi, everybody. I'm Griff Thompson from the United States. It's a pleasure to be here and welcome to the REN21 Academy. First of all, let me say that there is not a more exciting time to be studying energy, let alone renewable energy, than right now. We're in the midst of a historic energy transformation, an energy revolution, if you will. And the big question, however, is what are we going to do with this opportunity? What are we going to do with this wonderful gift that's been given us as being in the middle of and involved in something that is absolutely historic, that can have profound implications for millions, if not billions, of people across the globe? It is not much different than the challenge we have in the current pandemic. That is, what are we going to do with this pandemic? What are we going to learn from this pandemic? I mean, on one hand, we can look at the tragic implications of this pandemic and moan and groan about it. On the other hand, we can look at it as a gift and do what the mystics tell us to do. That is, never let go of your pain until you understand what it's intended to teach you. So is the case with the energy transition. We're going through a lot of turbulence, global climate change, etc. But if we use this opportunity properly, and if we view it as a gift, as a blessing, if you will, then we can come out of this much stronger and much better. I mean, we can use this transition as simply an occasion where we swap out old fuel sources, coal, oil, and gas, for new fuel sources such as solar, wind, geothermal, hydro, biomass, etc., but yet leave the same structures and institutional scaffolding in place, the same institutional scaffolding and socio-political structures that got us into this position where we are. So let us look at ways in which we can use this transition and turn it into a transformation to address those fundamental structures, policy and regulatory scaffolding, economic systems that are performing well, not very well. I mean, have you looked outside lately? The world's a mess. We've got rampant economic inequality, raging social injustice, and ongoing environmental devastation and destruction. We can do better. We need to do better. But in order to do so, in my mind, and humbly spoken, I think there's a few things we need to do. First of all, we need to redefine the terms of energy discourse and revise the rules of energy engagement. We have for far too long been too insular in our thinking and in our communications and in our relationships. We need to think about what energy truly means, and we need to view energy as much more than simply electrons pulsating through wires or molecules passing through pipelines. Energy is the antecedent condition to everything on the development agenda. You simply cannot talk about health, agriculture, education, gender equity, democratization, immigration, labor rights, human rights, in the absence of discussions about how we produce, from where we produce, and transmit and use our energy services. We need to think bigger. You know, there's a reason why renewable energy technologies are viewed as disruptive technologies. They disrupt everything. Revolutions break things. And that's what we're in. We're in a revolution. And renewable energy technologies and the technological systems they create disrupt vested economic interest, extant political alliances, and social and individual and institutional habits and mores. We need to think bigger. Dwight Eisenhower, a former president of the United States and military leader, said that whenever he found a problem he couldn't solve, he always made it bigger. He said he could never solve a problem by making it smaller, but yet that's what, in our conceptual world of the Enlightenment, that's what we always do. We always deconstruct a problem into little parts, thinking we can break the whole into the parts, analyze the parts, fix the parts, and then fix the whole. Well, that's not possible. Eisenhower said, if I made the problem big and bigger, I could always find the interconnections between things and therefore find a solution. Pope Francis, in his 2015 papal encyclical Laudato Si, does the same thing. Most people refer to the encyclical as the climate change encyclical. Well, it's that, but it's much more. Because Pope Francis, in the encyclical, asked us to listen to the cries of the earth and the cries of the poor. Because the weeping of the earth and the weeping of the poor stem from the same source. That is our technological paradigm, our social and political structures. He said you cannot distinguish and divide economic inequality, social injustice, and climate change. They are all bound together. To solve one, you have to solve the others. He was thinking bigger. He made the problem bigger, just like Dwight Eisenhower did. And that is what we must do. We must look. We must look and make the problem much bigger and look at the interrelationships between renewable energy and justice and equity and fairness. The second thing we need to do is to expand our orbit. Again, we've been far too insular. Renewable energy people like to talk to other renewable energy people. And that's part of the human condition, we like to hang out with people that look like us, talk like us, think like us, act like us. Well, we can no longer afford such luxury. We need to get out of our hives. We need to get out of our tribes. We need to reach out to those people who don't look like us, who don't think like us, and perhaps don't believe in the things we believe in. We have to expand our conversations and our relationships. Just like Dwight Eisenhower, just like Pope Francis, just like all contemplatives, we need to realize that we only learn by meeting and talking with and conversing with people that don't think like us. Think of all the mythic heroes, historical heroes of our past, whether it's Odysseus, Jesus, or the Buddha. They all left home. You don't learn much by staying at home with the people you know. So metaphorically, the renewable energy community needs to leave home. We need to start conversing with the fossil fuel people. Oh my God, yes, we do. We need to talk with health experts, education experts, people who are trying to solve issues of gender equity. We have to talk with people about labor rights and look at how does renewable energy and the energy services that are derived from our technologies respond to and address their needs. We're not going to learn anything by just congregating amongst ourselves, which we've been doing for decades, talking to other experts who are simply rhetorical echo chambers, feeding back the very beliefs and truths that we believe we hold. We need to be caught off stride. We need to be rocked. We need to be challenged by others so that we can pursue that which we are enduring through this energy transformation. The second thing, or the third thing we need to do, and this is important, is we need to get over our pathological passion for the machine. We are children of the Enlightenment, but we have an idolatry of the widgets. We have gadget envy. We have turned every social political problem into a technical problem. We think that a deus ex machina is lying in wait to deliver us from the evils of climate change, injustice, inequality, overweight. We can't find a date. There's an app for you. God forbid we look at our own behavior. That our fixation on the technological fix is inhibiting us from looking inside, reflecting on who we are and who we want to be, and reflecting on perhaps it is our behavior and the structures in which we live that are inhibiting us and causing the very problems we're trying to solve. A machine's not going to save us from climate change. A machine's not going to solve us from social injustice or economic inequality. We're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to have to change our behavior. We oftentimes act our ways in a new way of thinking. As St. Francis told his friars, he said, so that's Francis of Assisi, he said, preach always, and if need be, use words. So it's actions, not words, that we need to do, and we need to demonstrate the verities and the values that we hold dear in this renewable energy revolution and act that way day in and day out, people aren't saved by sermons. They are saved by actions of charity, liberality, and compassion. And that's what we need to do more of. And so the technology fix, and we see this in climate change now, it's geoengineering is a big deal. Don't change your behavior. Don't change consumerism. Don't change the technological paradigm that Pope Francis talked about, in which we live that just consumes us with distraction and noise and anything but self-reflection. A machine will fix us. Well, a machine's not going to fix us. So we need to think very deeply about that. As the German philosopher Heidegger spoke, he says, the essence of technology is by no means anything technological. Think about that. Our technological system on the surface is all about hardware, but underneath, scrape the varnish off the wood, and you'll find that the culture, the anthropological, the sociological essence of the wood is what comes to the fore. So don't look to the machine as the saviors. Look to ourselves and our relationships. The pandemic should surely have taught us that. And the final thing is, we need to be ourselves. You need to be yourself. And in order to be yourself, you have to find yourself. And to find yourself, you need to get over yourself. We've become far too selfish, too far solipsistic. We are all sanctimonious in the truths that we hold dear, and we believe we have the truths. Well, as Rumi, the mystic, the Sufi mystic, told us, truth was a mirror in the hands of God. The mirror dropped to the earth and broke into pieces. We each picked up a piece of the mirror and believed we held the truth. Well, as Rumi taught us, we may have a shard, we may have a piece of the truth, but we don't have the whole truth. So we need to reach out. We need to realize what the pandemic should be teaching us, that sustainability transformation starts at home. Take some time during this pandemic for silence and solitude, but nobody is doing that. Look at what we're facing. Everybody feels entitled to go out to a bar or a restaurant and see their family friends. Pascal, the father of probability and the great mathematician, said the sole source of man's unhappiness, women's unhappiness, is that he and she are incapable of sitting quietly alone in a room. How true is that today? We've been given a gift of the pandemic that should be teaching us that some self-reflection and sitting silently and quietly alone in a room will provide many more truths than simply going out and being distracted by crowds and festivities, as it is with renewable energy transition and transformation. Again, we are in the midst of a historic transition, a wonderful opportunity, but we must take advantage of that opportunity, and that transformation starts at home. This is no time to be coy. This is no time to be shy. We must be bold. This is going to be a turbulent time. This transformation, changing not only fuel sources, but socio-political structures, will not go easily. But we must go forth vigilantly and with fortitude. But we must strive to find that fusion, that judicious balance between hubris and the pride in knowing that we are pursuing a truth that will lead to social justice, greater economic equity, and deliver us to the land that provides things that are worth living for. But we must do so with a sense of humility, to know that we don't have all the answers. We cannot have the answers, that we need others to march and walk with us as we move through this renewable energy transformation, and learn from others that we have heretofore ignored or vilified as the other. We must move from the I to the thou. We must move from me to you, and from us to all of us. So this is, again, a wonderful opportunity to be working in renewable energy. It is a gift, it's a privilege, but let us take advantage of that and realize that these historic opportunities don't come often, and that if we do things right, If we realize that it all starts with us as individuals, but individuals tied and connected to one another, we can have a successful transformation and maybe even just have some fun in the process. So thank you for your attention. Enjoy the Academy. Be well, be healthy, and remain ever hopeful. Thank you very much.